What do you make of the president-elect comparing the lead up to the Iraq war and weapons of mass destruction with the intelligence community's assessment of the Russia hack?
Well, it's clear that he continues to have some doubts about whether Russia was behind those hacks and their intention. He's made that clear despite the preponderance of evidence and conclusion by intelligence agencies that that's the case. And of course, it is very, I think, of concern to intelligence agencies. He does point out a big failure by the intelligence agencies in their conclusion before the Iraq war that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. We all remember that, as do the intelligence agencies. But this may indicate a kind of split between the new president and the intelligence agencies that we have not seen in modern times.
Susan, we know that Donald Trump had tweeted out that Putin is a smart man. Many people might not realize the economy in Russia is not doing well, and we're hearing senators, John McCain, for instance, saying that they want tougher sanctions. So how is Mr. Trump going to reconcile this difference with his fellow Republicans?
You know, on most issues, I think the White House, the new White House, the Trump White House, and the new Republican-controlled Congress are going to be working hand in glove on a lot of issues. But this is one where we may see a big divide. We've got hearings by the Senate Armed Services Committee starting Thursday on this issue before President Trump even is sworn in, because it's clear that people like John McCain, the senator from Arizona, and Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina, take this seriously, are going to pursue it, even if the White House, even if the Trump White House says there's not much there.
Susan, a lot of Obamacare talk right now. How quickly might it be repealed, and how quickly might it be replaced in some variety?
So I think two different things there. I think a very fast track for repeal. Republicans have voted more than 60 times to try to repeal Obamacare. It's gotten nowhere. Now they have a president in the White House who will sign a repeal. But we're going to see, I think, repeal and delay. That is, repeal key portions of the Obamacare package without making it clear what it's going to be replaced to. And that means that the Affordable Care Act provisions will be in effect for several more years before they get replaced by whatever it is Republicans come up with.
And how strong, Susan, is the Democratic response expected to be?
Well, Democrats are going to meet this week with President Obama to figure out how to preserve as much of the Affordable Care Act as possible. Democrats need to decide, though, on what their approach is going to be generally to this new president and to the situation in which they don't have very much power. They aren't going to control the White House or either House of Congress. And I think we don't know exactly. I think Democrats are not yet united behind a strategy on how tough to fight. Although on the Affordable Care Act, I think they will fight pretty hard.
Susan, 18 days until Donald Trump is inaugurated. How do you think this administration will be different?
Well, I think it's going to be different in almost every way. In ideology, obviously a more conservative administration that we've seen for the past 8 years with the Obama administration, and also one that's willing to challenge some of the ways we've gotten accustomed to seeing things work, down to whether there's a daily press briefing and whether we can expect the new president to regularly hold news conferences. I think all these things are kind of still to be determined in ways that weren't the case with previous incoming administrations.
And Susan, technologically speaking, one of the fascinating things here is something your paper is talking about, a lot of people talking about right now. President Obama increased a wireless service, or made it a faster internet inside the White House. The president-elect is a proud Luddite. You know, he doesn't email, he doesn't surf the web. He says computers just aren't safe. He prefers the phone conversations. He says things need to be delivered by courier. So one would suspect the White House will change, technologically speaking, as well.
Well, a boon to messenger services all across Washington, right?
Carrier pigeons, welcome back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I say that, but I actually think it's hard to reverse some of the use of new technologies. What most of Washington is determined to do is try to make them safer, to focus on cybersecurity. And President-elect Trump has talked about that some during the campaign, about his desire to do that.
All right, Susan Page, thank you for joining us, Susan.